award-winning producers, artists, singers, musicians, jazz musicians, one of which who've been on our show plenty of times, man. I can never say no if this dude is knocking at the door. I remember the last time he came on our show and we did a jam session that is just now iconic. He got a new song out, and I wanted to bring him on the show to talk about it. He has a new song called Better Than I Imagined, and it's a new track, and we're going to be the first to play a clip of it, but he's going to be performing in D.C. at the Commitment March on Washington. That's happening Friday. And so if you don't know who I'm talking about, he goes by the name of Robert Glasper. I'm going to open up the phone lines.
He be having jokes, too.
Yeah, you're a funny dude.
Yo, Rob be having jokes, yo.
He's a comedian. Like, you forget that he even play instruments sometimes.
Right.
But give him a big round of applause. Robert Glasper. And he's back, y'all. Wait, hold up, Rob.
What up?
Before we even start, man, I'm going to take you back. You remember it? Matter of fact, I'm opening up the phone lines. 888-742-3345. Last time you came by the show, we did that jam session. And
oh
man,
yeah,
dude, how
is that
many
the one? Wait, is that the one with Rashid and with Common?
Okay, that was
another
another jam
one?
session. I was talking about. I think we were going to play the one that had Lupe.
Yeah, he was cracking on Lupe vest.
Snap.
Lupe
Anthony
Fiasco.
Hamilton and
And check this out.
man.
You ever remember that?
Lupe's vest.
Yeah, and then
Rob was cracking on it.
you was cracking on Lupe's verse. You thought you were a better rapper than Lupe that day.
I thought. Come on, man. You know what it is.
You still think? You still
Lupe
feel
know
like
what it is. Everybody know what it is. Come on, man. That's real. That's real.
Okay. Robert Glasper is here. Big round of applause. Hey, man, you know
out
another
here.
thing that happened.
I thought
Fred
you were talking
the
about the
Godson.
other jam session we did when I came up there with Common for the August Green joint, and we had the keys in there, and we did a freestyle joint, and I kicked like 4 bars. It just completely killed the whole session. I rocked that right there. It was only 4 bars.
You remember that,
You know what I
Common? I
mean?
feel like Common got upset.
Of
I
course.
remember that.
Of
Yeah,
course.
that you even rapped 4 bars. He didn't want you to rap at all. I remember that.
No, exactly. Because y'all didn't pay me enough to rap like 5 bars, so I did the 4 for a teaser. You feel
Here
me?
we go.
Damn.
You feel me?
How much did we pay you, Rob?
I did that one pro bono.
Yeah, I bet you did.
$3.99.
Pro bono rhymes. That's gonna be the name of my new rap album. Pro bono
rhymes. You know,
what
Fred the Godson performed at that jam session too, right?
He sure did. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so we were
That's
able
right.
to make that was so special, man. Do you ever get approached about these? I get approached about your jam sessions a lot.
Well, word. Yeah. I mean, say it again.
Never mind, Rob. It's okay, man. It's okay. It's not important. The question wasn't even important, man. You're Robert
Okay.
Glasper. If that came from Oprah, you would have heard me. If it came from Oprah, you would have heard me.
I can't. Too many jokes, bro.
Can't even hear me right now.
He was saying, Rob, do people actually ask you outside when you just, hopping around making your moves? Do people even ask you about the jam sessions? Do they say that they seen you doing them on the show?
Oh, hell yeah, for sure. Especially around the time when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
They was like, yo, that was crazy. Yeah, for sure. I get approached. I've definitely been approached about that a few times, without a doubt. 100%.
Okay.
Well, a lot of times when people approach me, they can't believe that they see me in person because they're like, oh, my God, you're my favorite rapper. I was like, thanks, but I don't even take that seriously. Like, what I really do, I play keys. I'm a producer, but rap is that's not even something I do seriously, but I'm so good. You know what I mean? It's just a gift. I don't know. I really don't know.
Glasper, man. He's so modest, too. Hey, listen. So, look. This dude, Robert Glasper. I was listening to Black Radio Broadcast on YouTube.
Oh, word.
Yeah, I love it, man. I like what you're doing. You need your own radio show, right? Is that what you're doing?
I do. Shout out to my boy, H.E.R. Sundance. He's the DJ I do it with every week. And, yeah, it's been fun, man. It's just been something I could do every week, to do something fresh in the middle of this pandemic, you know what I mean, and just to give people some something to dance to in their living room, at least.
That's
You know.
dope. And you don't get flagged at all. So a lot of the music you're playing is your own music too, right? Correct? But you don't get
Yeah, but a
flagged.
lot of the
when you
music.
do
Well, some, yeah, but I still have to go through the proper channels. For some things, I have to take off the playlist, you know, because of copyright infringement and things of that nature. So we still have to go to the proper channels with clearing all the songs, actually.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
888-742-3345. Rob, you performing? Are you now? Let's talk about the Commitment March on Washington. And in this particular song, "Better Than I Imagined," and it's featuring Meshell Ndegeocello and H.E.R. are both featured on this track. First of all, the Commitment March on Washington is it's the 57th anniversary of the March on Washington, where Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his "I Have a Dream" speech.
Exactly.
And you and I are children of the 70s. That speech, how implanted was it on your soul as a kid, and why is this important to you to be a part of this anniversary this Friday?
Man, I mean, that's the one speech of the whole civil rights movement that I think that's the first one you even learn about in school. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I've heard that speech and known about that speech since I could remember, just in grade school. You know, and then what's really cool about that speech is, obviously there's things floating around about a lot of stuff, but I heard that actual speech was really a freestyle.
Off the top of the head, that he kind of improvised as he went along?
Yes, because I heard that, was it Mahalia Jackson next to him that was there? Apparently, this is the story I've heard, and I've heard it from many people, that he had another speech, and he was speaking. He was delivering the other speech, and it wasn't going as well. And I feel like they said Mahalia Jackson yelled to him, "Martin, tell him about the dream. Tell them about the dream."
Yeah.
Wow.
Have you heard that?
Yes, I actually heard that as well, Rob. That's crazy you brought that up. I heard that too, but I thought it was one of those old wives' tales. Yep.
Right. But I've heard that a lot. And then at that point he switched it up and was like, "I have a dream." And then kind of freestyled that speech, you know, from that moment when she said, "Tell them about the dream." You know what I mean? So when I heard that, it even took it higher. It was like, wow, he said that in the moment. That was literally a freestyle. You know what I mean? And so it really meant more to me when I heard that. It was like, wow, you know what I mean? He was really speaking from his soul and speaking from his heart. You know what I mean? And because of that dream, because of that specific speech, you know, we're seeing it unfold today. I mean, obviously we have our problems, and we still have police brutality and systemic racism and blah, 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 blah. But we've obviously seen things get a lot better. We're not living in the 60s. You know what I mean? Yeah. I have not been chased down by a dog or water hosed. But you know what I mean? People tend to be like, you know, it's the same shit. No, it's not. It's not the same.
Say that.
Trust me, we are not living in our grandparents' age at all. You know what I mean? But there are still things
feel like
that still need to be. Say it again?
You feel like because we are seeing dogs unleashed on people, we are seeing, you know, brutality at a higher rate than we've been known to see it in the past. Do you feel like there's still symptoms, you know, like socially? What do you feel has, you know, you don't think there are some similarities to what they were dealing with in the 60s? And
oh, for sure.
Okay.
There are definitely similarities, 100%. But I'm just saying, overall, we're seeing it move. You know what I'm saying? We're not literally in the same place we were before. We can, you know, the very fact that you have your own radio show. Let's just start there. You know what I'm saying? Like the very fact that I can move around the way I do and get things done the way I'm able to get done, the way I can still go into certain stores. You know, I mean, like we literally have our problems. And a lot of this stuff is, you know, I say it all the time. It's like, you know, this isn't new. Now we just have video cameras. Now we can just prove it. You know what I mean? Now we can just say, see, I told you. Mm-hmm. Because for so many years, people would deny it, even though you see certain things on TV here and there. But just our everyday life is a struggle. And now people are getting to see the everyday life things, you know what I mean? And so we do have our struggles, and which is why I feel like, you know, we're still able to, you know, squeeze out great music because of it. A lot of the great music and art that we have in general comes from struggle. You know, that's kind of the history of Black people.
Mm-hmm.
We build amazing things because of the struggle we've come from, you know, and being able to overcome it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Are you seeing like today's jazz? Because when I think of that, Miles Davis and Duke Ellington and Coltrane and Thelonious Monk and all of these, Ella Fitzgerald, all these amazing musicians, you know, to be able to create and produce at that time was a reflection of the environment, like you're saying. What kind of changes are you seeing in, like, the younger jazz artists now and the way that they're approaching music? Are you hearing that in the studios when you go into sessions? Do you see people at all?
I'm not hearing much struggle. I'm not hearing in the jazz world. I'm not hearing much struggle music.
Okay.
Because when John Coltrane and Miles Davis and Ella and all them were doing it, when they were playing in clubs, when they were the headliners, they had to go in through the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They weren't even allowed to. They weren't even treated like the artist. You know what I mean? They were still treated like second class citizens. They were just able to get on stage and perform. But as soon as they got off stage, they were treated like second-class citizens. So it was a direct line between them and the music, for sure, because you felt it and that they were going through that. Nowadays, most jazz musicians don't go through that. You know what I mean? So you don't hear much struggle music as much as you did before, and there aren't as many Black people playing jazz, quite honestly.
Really?
You know what I mean? So the whole genre has changed in a way, you know, so you don't hear it as much. There are still people that do it, you know, Derek Hodge and Christian Scott and Marcus Strickland and Kendrick Scott and Kenneth Whalum. I mean, there are cats out here still doing it, you know what I mean, and playing the struggle, you know what I mean? But it's just as a whole, as the genre, you don't think about that you don't think about the genre the same as you thought about the genre back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s.
You hear that, Heather? He said most of the jazz musicians now in the audience is white.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I wonder too, Rob, do you think that has to do with a lot of the arts programs in schools, the budgets being cut, being overlooked? Right.
Of course. I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, when I came up, before I went to my arts high school, I went to a regular high school, and luckily, you know, me and my boy used to sneak into the marching band room. They had a keyboard, and he would make a drum set out of the marching band gear. We would jam, like in this big closet, in ninth grade.
Wow!
Most cats in high school was trying to sneak away and like make out with somebody or something like that. Me and my boy was sneaking away to try to jam. You know what I mean? But yeah, for sure. Like the arts programs and all that, it's definitely has to do with it. You know, and just the it's an overwhelming amount of people of color who will get turned away for scholarships, you know what I mean, to be able to go to school for it. Now the music movement has moved largely in schools as well. You know what I mean? There aren't any jazz clubs anywhere in America. It's very low, the amount of jazz clubs. You know, most cities don't have a jazz club. You know what I mean? And so it's to even hear the music is hard to hear the music. Well, now that you have, you know, we have, you know, a lot more access to music now. I mean, I feel like there's been a wave of young African-American jazz musicians coming up. You know what I mean? And the fact that people like myself and like I was mentioning before, people like Derek Hodge and Christian Scott and Esperanza Spalding, like people that are doing jazz that young people can understand now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People that, you know, because now I'm playing jazz that doesn't sound like the 60s. And it's not the kids' fault now that they can't identify with something from the 60s. I wouldn't have identified with jazz for real if I didn't see Roy Hargrove come to my high school and he looked like me. He was wearing Timberlands and overalls. and he was black, and I'd never seen that before. You know what I mean? And so most of the time when you see jazz musicians depict on television or anything, they're showing older jazz musicians. They're showing it back in the day in the 50s or 60s, and they all have on suits, and it just seems like something that a kid doesn't feel like they can reach for, they can identify with. You know what I mean? So I made it to where I was identifiable, and I made it to where it was like a kid can see themselves in me. You know, that's why I dress the way I dress. That's what, you know, and that's the reason I made it, like I said, because we're a heart growth, you know.
Wow, you changed a whole generation by wearing dirty T-shirts and too tight jeans. I appreciate that about you, man. Come on, Robert Glasper, man. We got Jay on the line. Good morning, Jay. How you doing?
J-A-Y.
Man, what's going on, man? How y'all doing today, man?
Doing
What's
good,
up?
man.
What's up?
Doing great, man. Say what up to Robert Glasper, man. Let's do this.
What you saying, huh?
Say what up to Robert Glasper, man.
Oh, what's going on, Mr. Rob Glass? How you doing, bro?
How you doing, man? Can't complain. How are you?
Man, I just had to call in and appreciate you, Sway, on double down and on, you know, when Buddy said, you know, Robert said that, you know, it ain't the same as the 60s when, you know, a lot of time, you know, it really is, you know, and if we would have just let that set how it was and move past that, we totally miss it, and, you know, we don't really get it because I'm a mixed American, you know, I'm a mixed male. I'm black and white. But I grew up in Macon, Georgia, and you know we grew up around the racial stuff happens all the time. We know, you know, we grown up not being able to, you know, kind of go outside and stuff. We know not to go outside after 10 p.m. because you gonna get pulled over, you go into jail. We know that, and a lot of times the up north people raised in New York, and you know a lot of times people raised outside of America don't understand what it's like. And, you know, I've had time to spend. I lived in Arizona where it's like 3.9% African Americans, and it's just a whole different racial. It's just totally different racial vibes out there. You know, they ain't in your face with the Confederate flags, but at the same time, they not finna hire you, and they talking about you behind the closed doors. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the thing is, you know. We just sit back and keep, you know, letting this stuff happen and not speaking. And when we got people like Sway, you know, Sway all about it. It ain't, you know, you can't even doubt Sway about the business. But, you know, we got a lot of artists and a lot of people with these platforms who not humble and, you know, they speak up on themselves highly, but at the same time, you know, they don't speak for the people highly. You know what I mean?
Right.
And at the same time, we need everybody at this day, in this moment, we don't have nobody talking about they got a dream. And we need all the people who live in the dream to come tell us that we still got a dream to live for.
True that.
I like that.
True that.
Thank you, Jay.
Yes, sir.
By the way, Jay, you a super citizen, man. You just got your citizenship.
I appreciate that. Macon, Georgia, man. Follow me, Jador the Truth at IG, man.
What is it? Jadon?
Jador.
What is it?
Jador, Jadorda Truth.
Jadorda. Okay, thank you, brother. That's interesting, and what he's saying too. Like it's and that's why I wanted to have you on, Mike. I mean, excuse me, Robert. I called you Mike. That's why I wanted to have you on the mic to talk about better than I imagined, and then why it was important for you to put this together and be a part of this celebration. Meshell Ndegeocello, do y'all stay in contact? Like, how were you able to get her a part of it?
Yeah, I love Meshell, man. And me and Meshell stayed in contact. When did I meet her? I think I met Meshell probably back in like 04 or something, 03, like in the middle of a tour. And my friends, Jaheed Sundance and Chris Dave were in her band. So I've known her for that many years. So we've definitely kept in contact. Matter of fact, she came to my residency last year when I did my Blue Note residency.
Blue Note, yeah.
And we actually performed together in Washington the week before my residency started. So last September, we actually performed together. And so whenever we get a chance, we do stuff together. I've loved her music for so long, you know, so she's definitely one of my favorites. But this happened Yo, the way this song happened was really so. I don't know if you know. So there's a movie out now called The Photograph,
Yes.
directed by Stella McGee. Yeah, yeah. And so I scored that movie. So I did the music for the movie. So at the debut of the movie in New York, when the movie came out, at the debut, H.E.R came to the debut because she has a song in the movie, and she sat right in front of me. And I saw her. I was like, "Hey, man, how you doing?" Boom, boom, boom. You know, I met her back then when she was like 13 years old. You know what I mean? So I've known her for a while. I think I went to her first major show at SOB's. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay, I was there. I was
yeah,
there.
you were? That's
Yeah,
yeah. Her manager hit me and was like, "Yo, you know, I got this little girl, and she's such a big fan of your music. It would really make her day if you would come to her debut thing at the SOB's and blah blah." I was like, "Sure." So I went down, and she killed it, and you know, we pretty much kept in touch through that, you know, since then. So anyway, after the movie played, she turned around. She's like, "Oh my God, I'm so inspired. The music you had in the movie was so dope." I was like, "Man, your song was dope." I was like, "We got to get together." She's like, "Yeah, we got to go in the studio." I was like, "Yeah, man. So, you know, let's think about a date when we can go in the studio and get some stuff cracking because I want you on Black Radio." She was like, "Shoot, what time is it? Let's go tonight." At that point, it was like 10:30, 11 o'clock. I was like, "Word?" She was like, "Yeah, let's go." So I was like, "Oh, snap." So we went to Electric Lady. She had her people call. We went to the studio that night.
Really? Just
Literally,
like that?
Bro. She was like, "Let's go." And literally about an hour and change later, we were in the studio at Electric Lady. And we stayed there to the wee hours in the morning. We were there from like, you know, maybe like 1 a.m. to probably like 8 a.m. And then we came back the next day and did another long joint. So that's literally how the song came about, bro. We actually did a few songs that day, in those 2 days. It was just the inspiration from the movie and from the music we both put in the movie, and we just felt that. And she was like, "Let's go," and that's the sign of a true artist too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you feel it, you got to create, and it's in the moment. You know what I mean? She wants to stay in that moment, so I was like, "Bet, let's go," and we literally created better than I imagined that night.
Wow.
You know? I just started playing this little loop on the piano. And she was like, "What's that?" And I was like, "I don't know." She was like, "Keep going, keep doing that." You know what I mean? And that's literally how the song came about.
That's how it happened.
And it happened to come out, you know, and so when this pandemic, because I was going to save that song to wait till my Black Radio 3 album came out. I'm working on that. I'm working on Black Radio 3 as we speak. I was going to save the song for the album. But then once everything hit with the pandemic and the Black Lives Matter thing going on and all the police brutality and just everything that's happening, I was like, you know, I just felt like, you know, I want to put this out now. The world needs some new music. People need something to smile about. People need something positive. And I was like, what's more positive right now than promoting Black love? You know what I mean? Let's do it from a different angle versus doing like protest music, obvious protest music. Let's put this song out because I felt like the song was just needed right now. You know what I mean? So we just decided to go ahead and put it out early. You know,
Better Than I Imagined, featuring H.E.R and Meshell Ndegeocello.
And then that's what happened at the end of it. Sorry, at the end after the song was pretty much done, I was like, almost done. I heard Meshell's voice in my head. Literally, that's how it happened. I was like, I could hear Meshell talking over this. You know, she has one of them voices. It's just one of them voices that draws you in. You know what I mean? And I was like, so I called her, like, "Hey, would you mind doing something at the end of this song?" You know, and we talked about it, and she just sent me that. And it was just like perfect. You know what I mean? It didn't feel forced. It wasn't a poem she wrote down or nothing like that. You know what I mean? It was just, it just seemed very natural and very honest and very appropriate. And it just felt right, you know?
I know I'm not supposed to do this, Robert Glasper, but the way you just talked about, this song was meant to be, and it was meant to happen for this particular occasion, the Commitment March on Washington, which is happening Friday. and it's the
Yep.
57th anniversary of this of the I Have a Dream speech. I think it was divine intervention, the way that y'all came together. Her was like, let's just do it. She's from the Bay. It don't get no realer than the Bay. You
Here
know
we
how that
go.
goes, Rob. It don't get no realer than that.
sure.
Meshell
For
is
sure.
no realer, no truer artist than Meshell. You know what I mean? And it all came together. I got the song. I want to play a clip of it, Rob. Is that good with you, man?
For sure. 100%. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's play a clip. And I want to thank you for coming on the show, too. And we got to, when all this stuff passes through, we got to get you back and do another jam session. You with that?
100%. I always appreciate you, man. Thank you for looking out for me and having me on so many times, and giving you so much support for us, bro. We need you out here, Sway. You've been a backbone to the community for a long time, bro. You even know cartoons, man. I was watching Boondocks the other day. I was like, this dude Sway. I forgot about that. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. When people make cartoons of you out here.
Yeah, man. Come on, Glasper. You
And
know what this is, man.
Heather can make some food next time I come up there. Thank you, Heather. Love you.
Like the voice change.
Yo, Rob had
right.
me in the studio with them clowning. We was eating
That's
good,
right.
having a
Heather
good
hooked
time.
it up,
Love you,
Jack.
Rob.
I think you brought some
Always.
crab legs or something.
Yep, I bought
last
crab
time.
legs, sangria, everything. We had a good time.
Oh, man,
All
for
right.
sure.
Okay. Hey, Rob, thank you, man. Keep up the good work, bro. And
Thank you, bro.
If I ever told you, bro, I love you, man. I love what you're doing.
Love you
and
too,
keep
bro.
it going. All
Thank
right.
you.
We're going to play
100%.
this. Absolutely. We're going to play this clip. Can people get it yet?
Oh, by the way, it drops at midnight.
Okay, so I'm going to play it right now. Okay. All right. Here it is, Better Than I Imagined by Robert Glasper, featuring her and Meshell Ndegeocello. Robert Glasper, thank you. Appreciate you.
No problem.
And
Yeah.
man, we going from you, and we got two powerful voices. You talk about
Indeed.
voices. We got Kerry Champion and Jamil Hill up next. So if you want to talk with them, 888-742-3345. It's Sway in the Morning. Robert Glasper.